Hi, friends. This is Elaine Jenkins, and I want to share with you today something that is really important to me, and I think it's important to you too. You're probably wondering about what's going on with our country, why things are so, uh, there's so many jobs being lost and so many problems all around us. And we see these things and don't really know what's going on. At least from what I have seen, most people don't know what really is going on in our country and why we have the problems that we're having. What is it that's causing these things to happen? Why are so many people losing their jobs? Why is there wiretapping and all of these things that are happening politically? Why is there the push to go to war? So, um, what I think is really important people need to understand is that we um, we have an enemy today. I don't know, I'm just gonna say it bluntly, come right out and say it. This is gonna be kind of maybe a surprise to you that we are in a war and we are fighting the same enemy today that we did when we fought the Revolutionary War in 1776, the British Empire. Let me explain. When America won the Revolutionary War, the British Empire didn't they didn't accept their defeat, and they've been trying to take our country back ever since that time. They started the War of 1812 to accomplish this, and they were defeated. And then they fomented the Civil War. They were behind the secession of the South, and then um, they've they realized that they couldn't take our country over militarily, and so they have a different strategy. Their new strategy that they developed was to take our country back from within. And so they've been working on that plan ever since, for years. And the ways that they do it is through the media. They gain control of how Americans think. People are brainwashed to think in a certain way. George Soros is very much in control of most of the media, and he's loyal to the British Empire. And so much of what we hear is propaganda that they want us to believe. It's ideas that are anti American, anti constitutional, anti just lies. So, so when you listen to the media, you're being told lies. Another thing is they gain control of our education system. And through the education system, they um, gain control of the thinking of our children, of our youth, and who grow up and then become um, the in control. They take over the um, positions in our nation. And so, people get into office that don't understand our country, don't understand our Constitution. They have been their brains. They've been they've learned a lot of different lies and things that are not true. And so the very leaders we have elected in our office, like Congress and the Senate and House of Representatives, these people don't know our Constitution either, and they don't know the American system. So um, this is how the British Empire has been taken over our country, and they've done it gradually throughout the years. And the biggest victory that they had was when they took over American money, our currency. And they did this by getting Andrew Jackson, who was a loyalist. He was working for on behalf of the British Empire when he took down our national bank. And so he paved the way so that they could establish the Federal Reserve, which is what they've been using to control our nation, that and Wall Street. Another thing that they've done is they've paralyzed the pastors and the religious leaders through the 501c3, and people are afraid in the churches to even talk about anything about politics in any way because of the 501c3 um, laws that they have, even though it isn't illegal. I mean, they can't take away their 501c3 status just because people talk about politics. That doesn't disallow them to talk about politics in the churches, the pastors to even talk about it in their sermons. What they can't talk about, what they can't do, is they can't endorse a certain candidate. And so they're disallowed from doing that, but they don't understand what the laws are about that, and so they just refrain from anything political, and they won't talk about it. So when we have an issue where we need leaders to stand up for the truth and stop the injustices, the pastors are silent. The Christian leaders are silent because of their misunderstanding about the 501c3 laws. They won't even talk about politics in the churches. So that's another victory that the British Empire won in their takeover of our country, is by paralyzing the pastors, making it so the Christians won't do anything to stand against their takeover of our country. So throughout the different systems, the education system, um, the media, people are taught anti-American axioms, and they don't even know who their enemy is. They don't realize that we're even in a battle, we're in a war. And they don't know who their enemy is when, people have finally come to the realization that there is a problem in our country. But they don't know who the enemy is. They don't know what the problem is. And they haven't been taught history in a correct way so that they can really learn, that they have not learned to look at the underlying systems, the underlying principles behind what happens. The way they teach history in the schools is by just teaching dates, predominantly teaching dates and events and things like that. And people are not really taught or made aware of the underlying principles that cause these things to happen historically. And so Americans are not aware of these things when they happen. Even when they take place around them, they don't have the understanding of the principles of what's going on, of what's causing these things to happen. So a lot of people think that it's the federal government that's the problem today, because of their misunderstandings and their inability to really understand the underlying principles behind what's happening, and so they just look at the superficial things that are happening, and they make judgments about that. They think that it's the government that's the problem. They don't realize that the problem is that the government has been taken over by the British Empire, that there's people that are here in America that are corrupting our leaders, um, by bribery, by funding their campaigns and keeping them in office, giving them money to support them, their candidacy when they run for office. And so these are many of our political leaders have become corrupted, and they pander to these entities like Wall Street and the Federal Reserve and the big banks, the mega banks, instead of um, instead of acting for the best interest of the people. So this is a huge problem today, and then people think that the federal government is the problem and that we need to downsize the government and limit the government, things like this. And they don't understand that it's our Constitution that is our protection from the complete takeover of the British Empire. And this is our protection. And if you take down the government or limit the government, then you are limiting the protection that we have from the federal government was instituted. It was it was formed to create a better, more perfect union, because our founding fathers found that the Continental Union, which was the different colonies, they had an agreement called the Continental Union, but um, they weren't united together like they were after the federal government was instated. And so before before they established the federal government, the colonies were focused on themselves and not the best interest of the colonies of the whole. And so this is why we need a strong federal government. Um, Alexander Hamilton talked about this in the first Federalist paper. So, if you want to know more about it, I don't have a I don't have it with me, but you can check on that and learn to follow up on that. And so I guess the main thing that I really want to talk about is that Americans need to become more aware about some of the things that they've been taught and things they hear in the media, and even things that our political leaders are promoting, because many of these things are anti-American, anti-constitutional. They're wrong ideas. And so if we don't change our thinking, then we're going to be in serious trouble, because we need to act according to the principles that our founding fathers gave us. And if we don't, then our country is, this is the reason why our country is in jeopardy. And that's why we have so many problems today. Americans need to change their thinking. And if they don't, they're going to be, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. They're doomed if they don't. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about. And I will talk more about these things in further videos. Thank you for watching.